Uh,
We're live now. We can.
And we can record?
Yep, we've recorded. It's all good.
Excellent. All right. Welcome, listeners, everyone. Once again, we are going on live today with our number 9 episode of Emotional Wellbeing, Freedom of Free Spirited. But first and foremost is we are all one. Let's not forget that. We all are one. We are humans. We all are one. And today, we are coming up with a beautiful topic and our beautiful guest today, Chrissy, who did a beautiful episode as well with us. I think she was our first episode that she did. Am I right, Chrissy?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, Beck. That's good. So once again, back with Chrissy, and I think by now you would know what she is and what she's not. But anyway, if you want to know more, you can still get in touch. But I'm going to talk about today a little bit about since we are getting into this topic, which is a very, very important topic, morning routines, something that not many people are fond of or want to get into or want to have routines because we are humans. But are we really supposed to have a routine like some of the animals have got routines, or some of the humans, they think that routines is best or not best? But whatever it is, first and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to make sure and tell everyone that we are all humans, we are all living beings, and whether animals, insects, nature, everything, we all need sunrise. And sunrise is a part and parcel of our journey. And sunrise is something that comes routinely for us to enjoy that. But before sunrise also, we sometimes see there is a dark, and then we ask our kids or make ourselves saying that, okay, there is a bedtime routine, there is a timing of routines, and then we get into those routines in the night before we go to bed. There are routines. And then actually comes, so the first part is we have to get to sleep before we wake up. So I look at it in a very positive way, that we get to sleep so that we can wake up. If we are always wake up, then we don't get to sleep, right? So I think this is a topic that is really close to me in terms of my spiritual journey. And I would like to take this opportunity of freedom of free spirit. It is all about how you express and how you're free from everything. So routines is a part, but routine can be free. And routine is not something that restricts yourself, but routine can actually free up you. And this is the whole topic that we are getting into. So I'm not going to talk more about that. I'm just giving you a little bit of insights about myself, what I think about morning routines, and what I think about sunrise, and what I think about the sunset. So this is all routinely happens without we asking for it. It happens. But something today we are going to do is we want to ask ourselves and attune ourselves to the routines. So let's hear from the expert. But before that, I'll go now straight to Beck, who is our beautiful host once again, and she's going to take us to this journey of morning routines with a beautiful conversation that we are going to have. And it is going to be an interactive conversation. So please feel free to ask any questions to us. Over to Beck, to you.
Thanks, Shailesh. And firstly, I'd just like to share, I'm so grateful that we've got Chrissy back on this morning to have a chat about morning routines with us. Those of you that did miss our first podcast with Chrissy, she is in Sydney. She's the owner of Sequin Consulting, and she works with her clients to tap into their highest potential through freedom and meaning in business and life. So I thought it was very fitting to have Chrissy with us today to talk into routines and how important morning routine is to have in our lives and in our business journeys. So welcome, Chrissy. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me on the show again. I really appreciate it.
So can you start for us, I guess, just the importance of what a morning routine would be?
Yeah, absolutely. So first thing that I'd really love to share is what a routine actually is, right? So super simple, straight to the point. a routine's pretty much just a series of actions that are followed on a frequent basis, right? And when it comes to the actual importance of a routine, for me in particular, and something that I share with all of my clients, is when you can put that time aside for you, it's you telling yourself that you are worthy of your time every day. And the importance of that morning routine is it's the ability to set the tone for your day. So if you're giving yourself the opportunity to be proactive rather than reactive, like for example, if you wake up and the first thing that you're doing is checking your emails, which is what I used to do when I was working in corporate, and then I would find myself getting frustrated or annoyed or already thinking of overwhelm within 10 seconds of waking up, rather than having a morning routine, which is how can I fill my cup so that I can actually feel good and go into my day proactively? That's one of the greatest benefits, I would say.
Perfect.
And it's just, it's looking at it as well and thinking, you know, what are the actual benefits of this routine, right? Like, and even with this podcast series overall, you know, freedom of the free spirited. There's so many conflicting things. And one thing that I'm so grateful for with my current mentor, he talks about if you can do a routine 70% of the time, then that's good. Rather than a lot of the time I find people will not do a routine because they're scared of failing because they can't maintain it 100%. So it's how can you set up a routine that works for you, that gives you the ability to be free, and it doesn't have to be exactly the same every single day. You know, it's like, how can I do this freely? What do I need to do to fill my cup so that I feel good and I can overflow?
Yeah, I love that. I think, you know, I've fallen into that trap myself. You know, I've set a morning routine, and sometimes it's like, there's a lot on there, you know, like I've got to do this, I've got to do this for myself. And then, you know, like I get a few weeks in and I'm like, oh, I've just run out of time. And then a week goes, and then before I know, that morning routine has just dropped right back off. And then it's like trying to get that momentum again. So it's really nice to hear. I haven't heard of that before. Just, you know, like 70% is better than nothing. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like, if you look at 4 days out of 7 days in the week, for example, like you don't have to do it always on the weekend.
Yeah.
But it's even getting to the point of when your routine is doing what you love to do, it becomes easy and effortless. It's not I have to do this. It's I want to do this. And it just becomes part of your identity.
Yeah.
So like some of the things that I personally love to do, right, is like I love moving my body. I find, you know, and I see with a lot of people as well, it's when you actually move your body, it gives you the opportunity to move the energy around. You know, we're not made to sit down on couches all day or to stay indoors. You know, we're made to go outside, to move our body, you know, get the energy moving, get the heart pumping, the blood pumping, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I find just being able to move your body can get that stagnant energy moving along. It means that you're breathing. You know, I don't know about either of you two. Did either of you two actually get taught how to breathe properly? I never got taught how to breathe properly. Do you know what I mean? So at least when you're moving your body, you're actually forced into taking deep breaths, connecting with this body. You know, getting into that. So moving the body, that's one thing that I love doing as part of the routine. Focusing on gratitude. It's giving yourself that opportunity to start the day with, what can I focus on that is good? What can I focus on that's positive? What would I love more of? You know, that attitude of gratitude. It sounds a bit silly. Let's have an attitude of gratitude. But it's like, no, where can I really connect with my heart and myself and say, I'm actually really grateful to be alive no matter what's going on.
Yeah, this is a really good point. You know, I think for me and the people that I work with, a lot of the times it comes up, it's like, you know, I can't find anything that I'm grateful for. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be massive, you know, it doesn't have to be such a big thing and so much pressure to, you know, putting on yourself. It's like, what am I so grateful for? You know, like I just bring it back to the little things, you know, like you're grateful for the bed that you're sleeping in, you know, like when we're first starting, you know, like, have you got clothes to wear? Have you got a roof over your head? You know, like, have you got a coffee in the morning? You know, there's so many little things that we can start to recognize and be grateful for. You know, the first thing that's on my list daily are my dogs. You know, I'm so grateful for them. And before my health and everything, because for me, without my dogs, my health drops. You know, they bring so much energy and so much love to my life that's number one for me. And I think, you know, everybody's gratitudes are different, but I always bring it back to just like the basic things to start with. And then once you start getting in a routine and you start to see all of the beauty around you, and actually what you do have at your fingertips, and then our world just gets bigger and bigger, and we can see beyond that.
Yeah, I think it really interlinks too, because I find a lot of people, especially when it comes to a sense of acknowledgement, right? You know, people may not feel good unless they do something extraordinary.
Yeah.
So it's always that chasing of something huge rather than bringing it back to the simplicities. And at the end of the day, like, when you allow the things, the simplicities, or really bring attention to those simplicities, it makes you realize what we really do have, which is so much. I had a really good eye-opening moment when I went to Bali a couple of years ago and we had to drink bottled water. I've never felt so grateful for water in my life, because growing up in Australia, it just didn't cross my mind that, you know, well, it had, but not, I hadn't really faced it in a reality sense, you know what I mean? So just that sense of gratitude with these tiny things is huge. And then also, like, if you're grateful for what you've got, you're going to attract more of that. So it's just that focus. What a great way to start the day.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Well, I wanted to just jump in here. Yes,
Definitely.
you're absolutely right. Like, body movement is one of the key routines that you have to, just like when you want to wake up, and you have to wake up. So you have to move your body, basically, because if you're lying there, then you are stuck, basically.
Yeah.
So just those little things, accepting and, you know, appreciating, as you rightly said, that we are grateful that we are alive, we are breathing. So that's breathing is one of the things that when you first thing notice, you rightly said that not many people notice, even I don't notice what's my breathing pattern is, or it's like, or whether it's changing, or whether I feel different today when I woke up. I don't really feel it because I don't concentrate on it, right? And I think that's one of the key thing you mentioned is quite good. Like, breathing is something that keeps you going and tells you that you are alive, and that you have to do things that you can do. So that's first and foremost as a routine. If you just take a deep breath, that's what people say, take a deep breath, or be calm, and don't start overthinking or start thinking, which conflicts with your breathing all the time. And I think that's a fine line of thoughts and then your breath. So when you calmly breathe, then you think nicely. When you breathe fast, you think that way. You know, it all correlates, basically. So I really appreciate that, giving me that insight, which I understand that how important it is as a routine to acknowledge yourself and be gratitude to that we are alive. But also then that gives a motivation that we are not just alive, but we can do things, basically. So we have to move. And that's a great way of putting it. So no, appreciate that. So what's your take on the emotional well-being impact by doing these little simple things, or accepting these little simple things? What do you see it affects and how it impacts our emotional well-being?
I would say it affects our emotions because of the fact that if you're coming from a place of being proactive and you're unconsciously sending signals to yourself to say, I'm worthy of putting this time aside for me, to fill my cup, to do something that is important for me, to feel good, to go into my day being proactive, so that you can then tackle your day with whatever it is, because reality is challenge is going to happen, right? You know, whether you go to work and there's a challenge, or there's challenges with children or relationship problems or whatever it is, or if you've got an amazing day ahead, it's easy to have a great day when things in life are going well. But if things in life are actually difficult, which is just part of the human experience, right? It's what can you do on a consistent basis to make you feel good, to fill you up so that you're ready to go. So it's, if we use just a simple example of, if I fill up my cup every single day, and then throughout the day, I need to dish out, you know, a little bit of water or whatever I'm filling my cup with, if you don't have the routine on a daily or consistent basis, it doesn't have to be every day, but it's this realization, as long as you're doing it consistently, telling yourself that you're worthy, telling yourself that you are good enough to have that time, you're doing things that make you feel good, then you've got that, you're able to dish out what needs to be dished out rather than trying to serve from an empty cup. So that's why it's affecting your emotional well-being, because if you're not putting any time aside for yourself at all, you get to a point of exhaustion. And this is where people can reach a level of burnout. This is where people get forced into, let's say, depression, deep rest. Depression is deep rest because they haven't filled themselves up, that they're just forced into feeling maybe numb or feeling hopeless and helpless. So it's looking at that and thinking, okay, what actually happens when you start prioritizing yourself? That's why it affects your well-being and your mental health, because you're telling yourself frequently and doing things that work for you.
That's a good insight. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. What you focus on, you will attract more of. So the more that you focus on, positively filling that cup up, the more your cup will be filled.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much we, over the, time of the day or week or, just our life, every little bit that our energy drops and we have to give out our time, we're constantly filling that back up. We're constantly focusing on, our health and our well-being, that, we're going to attract more health and well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the saying, you don't rise to the level of your expectation, you fall to the level of your training. And it's, if your training on a daily basis is your routine, it's like when things are challenging, you're not going to rise to that. You're going to fall down to, what that consistent training is.
Absolutely.
So putting you first. And it's also the realization that different things work for different people, right? So for example, I could go for a walk for 15 minutes, pump out a couple of songs, and I'm good for the day. Sometimes I need more, but it's about checking in with your body and saying, what do I actually need right now? Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's literally sitting in the sun and doing nothing. Maybe it's sitting down and having a coffee, but checking in with yourself consistently. And I realize that maybe there's people on here like, what does that actually mean to check in? I don't even know what that means, but it's giving yourself the opportunity to say, what do I actually want right now? And it might feel a little bit weird at first, but when you make that consistent, you start to build up that relationship with yourself and figure out what you actually want and need in that moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I first started, looking into a morning routine and what it was all about, I was just like, well, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what do you do in a routine? You just get out of bed, you get ready for the day, and you start work. It's like taking that time to check in and ask yourself, what do I need from myself today? Because for so long I was like reaching out to other people and outsourcing how to fill my cup up, and you never get it, because it's like putting that expectation and that job on somebody else to fill you back up, and it's like, that's not what I need. Why are you giving me all of this and it's not what I need? But like just getting a tool bag of all of those different options, because like you say, one day your routine might work for you, but then the next day you might need something else. So I think, like just having like different meditations, yoga or going for a walk or a swim, sitting in the sun, journaling, just having like, a list that you can fall back onto what you feel into at the time, I think is really handy as well.
Yeah. And even utilizing what you said, Beck, I find, especially if you don't know what to do, you can say to other people, hey, what are some of the things that you do? Then it's like, oh, I actually like the sound of that, so I'm going to give it a crack.
Yeah.
And then it's, if you do it and it doesn't work for you, not making it wrong. There's no failure. There's only feedback. It's the matter of, I gave it a go. It works for someone else. It doesn't work for me. What's next?
Yeah.
Yeah. And enjoying the journey. It's like self-discovery.
Definitely.
What do I like? What do I want to do?
I've just recently, realized that it's, just the play of finding yourself and who you are and what works for you and what doesn't. And like you said, there is no failure. It's just feedback on who you are and what you can do better next time. Yeah.
And even with what you're saying with play, like just that realization that at the end of the day, we're all big kids. You know, when we go back to our authentic and true self, most people just want to play and enjoy and have fun. Like, you know, we just want to have a good life. So it's, how do we do that? You know, getting curious like a kid. I was thinking just recently, the saying, I don't know if it's, you know, common all around the world, but the saying, curiosity killed the cat. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a terrible, I'm like, what is this taught people? Curiosity killed the cat is telling us if you're not curious, then like, sorry, if you are curious, you're going to experience pain. But it's like, no, you look at kids, they're so curious. So taking that into your routine, it's amazing to be able to explore and be curious and figure out what works.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we just need to allow ourselves, and the whole thing about the morning routine is setting aside a time frame that, you know, you have that time to play and be curious and see what works and what doesn't. And, you know, like, because without the morning routine, it really is just a time frame that is for yourself, you know, before you've got to go to work, before you've got to get the kids ready for school, and, you know, all of your daily chores and errands start. You know, it's just, you know, it can be half an hour, like you said, could just be 15 minutes, but it's time that you're setting aside for yourself to be able to look in, check in, and be curious as to what you might need. And then, you know, like, it might not be done then and there, but it's allowing that time to think about it, and then later on during the day going for a massage, or, you know, going for a run or a play, you know, like, but it's that time in the morning that you set your day up is how I see it.
That's it. And ultimately just prioritizing you. That's like, that's the whole thing when it comes to any sense of routine. It's, what can I do that's going to prioritize me, that's going to make me feel good, that's going to fill me up. And just having, you know, just like you would put that time aside for your child. If your child came to you and said, Mummy, I need you. You doing the exact same thing to you, saying, okay, what do I need and how can I fill that up and make me a priority? Yeah,
definitely.
One of the other things I'd love to add, so like we spoke before about, you know, movement and gratitude. And one of the great things about gratitude is it brings you to the present moment. One of the things that I personally do frequently with my morning routines is a sense of visualization. Now, some people like doing it, for example, sitting down, listening to an audio. I love just going for a walk, and that's when I get a lot of ideas, or when I get creative and, you know, like I just get really fired up when I'm walking, right? And I'll just envision my goals for the next, you know, 10 to 20 years, or, you know, visualizing where I'm going to be, seeing my goals take place, you know, and then bringing into that, you know, this sense of heart breathing. So it's like getting out of my head, getting into my heart, focusing on the things that I really and deeply, truly want, and imagining it though as if it's already done. And what that allows me to do is it keeps that sense of motivation. I had someone reach out recently, say, what do you do when you're not feeling motivated? I'm like, I think motivation is kind of BS. It's, if you're not feeling motivated, it's because you're uninspired. So it's getting that sense of what's your purpose, what's your vision, what's your mission, connecting with that. And then, you know, allowing us, like, you're always going to have that thing to chase, or you're always going to have that thing to look forward to, you know, knowing where you're going, right? That's the proactiveness, rather than being reactive to what's taking place, being proactive. And then just letting go, coming back to present time and saying, cool, for that to take place, how do I need to show up today? What do I need to do today? What would I like to experience today? And bringing it back to the present.
Definitely. And just for those who are just starting out on, you know, on this journey and, you know, wanting to put in a morning routine in place, you say you when you go for a walk and you visualize where you want to be and how you want your life to look, what would your next steps be? Like, when you were to come back home, would you journal, or is that just a visualization, you know, that's an imprint then that you just fall back onto that moment that you visualize that?
So for me, like, what I currently do now is typically between 6 to 8 a.m, provided I wake up early on that day. Sometimes there's sleep-ins because we're human, and it's like, if my body needs to rest, I let it rest, which, once again, it's not making it wrong, not setting these rules up to fail. It's listening to yourself and figuring what you need, right? So it's typically, that 6 to 8 a.m is getting out and about, going for a walk, to the gym, visualizing all of that. And then when I come home, it's starting off by building relationships and connecting with people. So for me, my business is online. So it's getting to the present moment. From that place of overflow, I connect with people, and then I start getting ready for my day. If I was working in a job, it would probably be, like figuring out, okay, what can I do now? Starting off with what's most important,
Mhm.
which is relationship and family, maybe connecting with my partner, with family, and then getting into work.
Yeah.
It ultimately depends. There's so many different areas of life, right? You know, we've got, you know, your career, we've got relationships, we've got health, spirituality. It's just a matter of what's most important. I like to change things up a bit. I like to have that sense of freedom. While
Yeah.
I've got routine, I don't keep it, you know, I don't like to be boxed in. So it's, what do I feel like doing right now? Sometimes it's journaling. Admittedly, I'd like to journal more. So that's even just a matter of me looking at it and saying, cool, I would like to journal more. So let's prioritize that.
Yeah. I really like how you just fell into that as like what you would like to do. And then that, like, because it's conscious then, you're consciously thinking about what's going to happen in the future and where my goals are and what I would like to look at more in myself and for myself. And then, it'll then eventually start to fall into place because you're, conscious about it. It's, not something that we're not even thinking of.
Yeah, 100%. And it comes from that place of want, not I need to, or I feel obliged to. It's like, no, this is something I'd love to do.
Yeah.
Or I'd like to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I can add here one thing is what from hearing both of you is it's you are the only one who can motivate yourself. No one else can motivate you other than you, basically. So when you talk to your body or talk to your thoughts or talk to anyone of your own, that's where you motivate yourself that what you want to do now, basically. So nobody comes here and asks you to move up your bed or get up or anything. It's you who have to do it. So I think, and that's not a routine, but that's just subconscious. So that brings back me to that spiritual concept of subconsciousness. And I wanted to ask you with this morning, according to you, this routines, whether morning routines, afternoon, whatever routines that we set up for ourselves, do you think they are like more should be like a subconscious, or do you think it's a consciously we should do this? Or do you think it should come naturally as subconsciously?
So I believe that anything that you start new has to be done consciously. But once you do it over and over again, it becomes unconscious.
It becomes subconscious, yeah.
Kind of like when you learn to drive a car. At first, if you're going from an automatic to a manual, maybe all your focus is just, how to put the clutch in and change the gear knob. But then after 5 years, you can be on the phone, eating Macca's and driving, and you're all good. You don't have to think about it. So it's starting off with making it conscious. And then, before you realize it, it just becomes part of your identity, which really is, if you're doing something that feels in alignment with you, like, for example, some people may not want to go for a walk. For them, it's going to the gym. Some people may not want to meditate. It might just be journaling. And it's, if you're doing what's right for you and you're giving yourself that time of day, it becomes a want. And then you just wake up and then you just do it because, you want to do it and it's part of your identity and just what you do.
Yeah.
But I believe anything new, it starts consciously.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. And I think we just think, I would like to just point on that everything is different, not everything is the same for everyone. For some people, meditating and connecting with themselves is gardening. So if that's, half an hour in the morning out watering your plants, it's something that fills you up and like excites you to be alive and to continue to go throughout your day. So, yeah.
That's it. And how you start is how you finish. And I know we're ultimately starting off, talking about morning routines, but it's looking at it and saying, how are you going to start the day? But then also, what can you add into the end of the day as well? So for example, I don't sleep with my phone in my room because I know that if I do, I'd probably get caught up looking at my phone and getting distracted, rather than I leave my phone elsewhere so that I can just allow myself, even if it's maybe taking me more than a minute to fall asleep, because I fall asleep very quickly, but it's like gives me that opportunity to just connect with my breath, think about the day, focus on gratitude. And because that's been done for so long, over such a long period of time, the compound effect of that is now I don't even have to think about it. It just happens naturally. Waking up in the morning, because I was taught, maybe 6 years ago, the first thing to do to wake up is to smile, to breathe, and to say to myself, I've got you. Now that's just what I do unconsciously without even thinking about it. I wake up, big smile on the face, and then going everywhere, I just walk around smiling, and people are like, what the hell's going on with you? But it's like, it just becomes part of you, you know, and building that in.
Definitely. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, amazing stuff. This is cool. So routines can starts as conscious, but then become subconscious, you know, and routines are a part and parcel of our journey. So our body tells us whenever you want to sleep, or whenever you're hungry, or whenever you are thirsty, you know, everything is been determined as a subconscious thing. So these becomes also like a routine kind of thing, because they are not something that you can stop at, or you can say, I don't want to go and eat now, or even though you are hungry, you know, it will kill you, or it will make you do things that you don't want to. So coming to that situation of routines, so whether you like it or you don't like it, so just like your body tells you to do these things as a routine, and that's also affects your well-being. When your body tells you, that connects directly to the well-being of each individual. And you're right, like everybody has got a different scenario and different likings, different disliking, but that's how we are one. Even though we are unique, we are still one, because we have that similar kind of routines. So coming to that bodily routines and mind routines, we are doing is like what physical routines, when we are waking up, when we are walking, as you go on out for a walk, and then all your thoughts come. So routines can be, is it, you think that routine should be, or can be made mandatory, certain routines, or certain routines can be just not, don't have to worry about it? What's your take on those? Because this is all affecting the emotional well-being. You like, you dislike, and then you want certain things in a certain way, and then if you don't get it, then you affects your well-being. So what's your take on these routines that we set up for our own? So, you know, our likings is something, my liking is something, and I may say I want this, but if I don't get it, then my emotional well-being affects, right? So do I want to get into that routine sort of thing, that, or just say, okay, as you said, like sometimes you sleep in, you don't have to wake up if you have to listen to your body. So how do you relate that with the routines that you set up for yourself, um, in a way to change or to keep adjusting or adapting to the moment, living in the moments?
I would say it's really ultimately about figuring out what's needed at that particular time or in that moment. Or I like every night, for example, I've got a habit around planning my day the next day. So I already know in advance, am I allowing myself to wake up early, or am I sleeping in, right? So that's already pre-planned, right? But it's just simply this matter of, if I don't think anything should be mandatory per se, because we want to have this sense of freedom. However, if you don't have 5 minutes a day to yourself, my firm belief is that you're going to get to a moment in life where you're just so unfulfilled because you're not prioritizing you. So if there's, like, I feel like to a degree, there should be mandatory self time. However, it shouldn't be forced. And I believe that if people aren't putting that time aside for themselves, there's something going on, whether it's conscious or unconsciously, some belief of maybe I'm not deserving of this time, or maybe there's a belief of, if I put myself first and I'm selfish, or my kids need me, or my partner needs me, or my workplace needs me. But the reality is, if there's nothing left of you, and if you're not in a good space for yourself, you're not actually going to be in a good space for anybody. And only when you get to experience the best version of you are other people going to. So it's the realization that the most selfless thing that you can do is give yourself the permission to make that time for you, and to give yourself that time aside, and make that self-time mandatory, but from a place of want, knowing that it's going to benefit you and everybody else dramatically.
Yeah, I couldn't have put that better. That's, definitely.
Yeah, so that's what I think about mandatory. It's like, wanting to put yourself first. And the thing is, I believe that everyone's born into this world unconditional love. Everyone's going to leave this world unconditional love. There's just a whole lot of conditioning that's, brought onto people along the way. And if, you know, there's not that sense of I'm a priority, it's okay, what's actually going on there and what do you need to do to clear that up, to make yourself feel worthy of having that time?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would take us down a whole new rabbit hole if we further explore this.
Definitely.
So it's starting off 5 minutes a day. You know, if you don't have any routine at all, it's what could you do for 5 minutes a day? Once you start feeling into that more, then it's okay, let's build that up to 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. But giving yourself some time to fill you up, something that you love doing, something that's meaningful for you, something that's going to start your day proactive to have a ripper day.
Great advice.
Yeah, no, that's a great advice. Good tips. So routines is, as listeners are listening, what routines they have got different kinds of routines and different setup. They can set up routines, they can create routines, and they can also actually follow routines. But either way, it all affects your mental well-being. So exactly do what your well-being really desires, rather than what others are doing may work for them, may not work for you. So don't fall into that trap of, okay, if that person is doing that routine and achieving that, which means I can also achieve, is not an answer. That's what I take it from here. Yeah, Chrissy, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think use what they're doing as a guide, but don't take it word for word. You know, you give yourself the permission to explore what works for you. Just because it works for everyone else doesn't mean that it's made for you. But you know, and that's it. I think from such a young age, we're conditioned to ask for permission to go external of ourselves. And for some people, maybe this is a new concept of what do you mean I need to go within for the answers? But it's just using their stuff as a guide and then saying, what's my take on this? Does this work for me? Does it not work for me? What would I like to experience today?
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see that the morning routines is something that is not like just restricted to morning, because it starts from a darkness, which is the night, and then you start your routines basically. But yeah, gratitude movement is all perfectly said, Chrissy. I really resonate with that, because you got to move, and the first thing is you have to wake up. I always say that, we are all asleep unless we show that we are wake up. Unless we show we are awake, otherwise we are all asleep. So, and humans generally, no matter whatever they have, whatever they don't have, wherever they come from, it's the, as I said at the start, sunrise is for every human being. Just like that, you can set up your own routines without, and do it routinely, like the sun comes every day without fail. And if you get into that habit of shining every day and setting up your routine every day, then I think that's the best well-being factor that you can have for yourself rather than anyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as like the sun comes up, it's a new beginning, right? Excuse me. It's a new beginning, but also an opportunity to set the intention for that day. It's like, let's let go of things from yesterday. We can't do anything about that, whatever it is, but it's what would I like to experience today? What's the intention I'd like to set today? Because, every morning as the sun rises, it's just a symbol of a new beginning. So what do I want to do today with my new beginning, and go on from there? It's like getting really present, setting that intention, and then living in the moment.
Living in the moment. Yeah, that's the key, right? Living in the moment. I love that. And that's what it is, moments that matters, which is important. Every single moment is important. Every single moment matters to you and to everyone. So yeah, I take that as a good tip and advice. So beautifully said. And I think I appreciate that this topic. I hope everyone would take something out of it, to set themselves a goal of routines. And it doesn't have to be somebody else's goals. It can be only your goals that you would like to set for yourself. And that could be a routine kind of settings that you can create for your own. Yeah?
Definitely. So should we check in with you in a few weeks to see how your morning routine?
That would be awesome.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much today, Chrissy, for joining us. I think Shailesh has got a few hot tips there to add to his morning routine. So we will check later.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. We'll check in with you.
I
Thank you so
certainly
much for
do.
inviting me again. I really appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And for all of our listeners, if there is anything that that you resonated with then today, just let us know in the comments below. And if you are wanting to reach out to Chrissy, her links will be there as well for you to do so. Thank you so much.
Yeah, certainly, Beck. I'll take your advice. I will set some routines for myself
Perfect.
and change my world a little bit.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks,
it.
Chrissy.
Thank
Have
you.
It was a great
day.
insight, Chrissy. Thank you so much for your great insights on the topic morning routines. And we would love to have, as always, like you are a real eye-opener and insight giver from what you have experienced and what you do yourself. Is really appreciative to put it out there for all the audiences to listen. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Chrissy.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we'll catch